All right, so for number 2, and again, the graphing, pretty straightforward. Now, this next one, you've got to convert the following rectangular coordinates to polar. So you're changing this back and forth. You have to be careful and pay attention to what it's telling you. I see all kind of different answers here. If you're going to polar, that means you need a radius and you need an angle. That's what it means. So we need to find our radius. And remember, a radius, it's just the Pythagorean theorem, right? R squared equals x squared, right? X squared plus y squared. So that means we have r equals the square root of 1 plus 3, isn't it? So my radius value is 2. So what that means is I found that portion there. My radius is 2. Is that okay? Any questions about that? All right, now let's look for the angle. Well, the angle itself, this is where I encourage y'all just to ignore these signs here. Use those to tell you what quadrant you're in, and then from there we can figure out what our angle should be. Now, if x is negative and y is negative, what quadrant should I be in? The left? The third one. Third one. All right, so let's go to the third quadrant. Love it. All right, so third quadrant, I'm going to draw a triangle there. And let's label the sides of our triangle. So notice I have 1, x is 1, y is root 3. Don't worry about the signs again. You've taken care of that because of the quadrant you're in. Now, which trig function did I use? Tangent. And remember, it's going to be tangent of some angle equals, and again, ignore the signs. So it's going to be your y over x, or root 3 over 1. So that means tangent of some angle is just root 3. And y'all go to your unit circle, look in the first quadrant. So what does theta have to be? Pi over what? Pi over, I heard 6 and pi over 3. One of those would be correct. Which one has a root 3? So I'm seeing pi over 3. I agree. Awesome. Now, y'all, this theta that you found is not the theta that it's looking for. It's going to help you find that theta. But again, the only time this theta would be the actual answer is if you were really in the first quadrant. If your triangle happened to be in the first quadrant, then yeah, that's the angle you found. But you found the reference angle. Now, to finish this, you have to ask yourself which distance is shorter. Because I know this value in here is pi over 3. That's what I found here. Now, to find the actual theta that this needs, well, which distance is shorter? From here to here or from here to here? The second one. You need that shortest distance. So how am I going to figure out what this angle value is? Because this angle here is the theta that you need up here. Well, a couple of ways to figure that out. If you know this inside is pi over 3, you know if you complete this loop, that's pi, isn't it? So we could subtract them. So I could say pi over 3 minus pi, couldn't I? Is that okay? And so what is that going to give me? And y'all, don't freak out because there's pi's. Think of it as 1/3 minus 1, and then smack a pi on it. That's all you got to do. So that's going to be 1/3 minus 1 is negative 2/3, isn't it? So it's negative 2/3 pi. That's the angle you're looking for. So up here, negative 2/3 pi. Now, a couple of questions that always come up. Do I always say pi minus or angle minus pi? No, it depends on what quadrant you're in and what that shortest distance is to get to the radius. That's what it depends on. Now, some people will change negative 2 pi over 3. That's the same thing as what? 4 pi over 3, isn't it? If you reflect it, that's fine also. But to me, just keep it like this.
So we don't put the angle measure like 120 or whatever?
You can use degrees if you want to. Okay, so let's see. To find R, what did y'all get your R value to be? 4. Y'all, this one, since it has 0, 4, it might be easier just to plot this one. Where's the 0.04 at? It's up 4, right? So there's the 0.04. And so what would that mean in polar terms? What's the angle that I win? Pi over 2 is the angle, isn't it? And what is your radius length? How far did you travel to get to that point? What is our radius? 4, isn't it? The radius is 4. So for those, they're kind of pretty straightforward, right? So what would be the polar form of this one? It's going to be 4, comma, what was it? Pi over 2. Yes, you could put 90 degrees there if you don't want to use pi over 2. Okay, questions about it? Look at you. You do remember something.
I still didn't think I was doing it right.
You are. All right, so these you've got polar, which means you have R and you have theta. But then you need to go to rectangular, which is X and Y. Do y'all remember the formulas for this?
R cosine.
So X equals R cosine theta. Awesome. And so what is the Y one? Y equals?
R sine.
Perfect. R sine theta. Right? So this is really just plugging in. So my X coordinate here, so X equals -2 cosine of pi. Now you need to evaluate cosine of pi. So that's going to be -2 times -1. So you know your X coordinate here is 2, isn't it? Okay. So what about Y? It's going to be -2 sine of pi. So that's really -2 times what? What is sine of pi? 0. So my Y coordinate is 0. Any questions about that one? Y'all got it? Good? Feeling better about it maybe? Okay, let's try part B then. Let's try B. So X is going to be 4 cosine 3 pi over 4, right? Is that okay? So let's go ahead and evaluate that. So that means that's 4 times. All right, so what is cosine of 3 pi over 4? Y'all look at your unit circle. You're going to have to do that. Negative what?
Root 2 over 2.
Negative root 2 over 2. What quadrant is 3 pi over 4 in?
Second.
Second quadrant? Are y'all sure? I won't mess you up. All right, so that's going to be what? Now, y'all, a lot of people got here and they're stuck. They don't remember how to multiply this. Think about that as 4 over 1. And then the 2's will cancel into 4, leaving 2. So that's going to be -2 root 2, isn't it? Is that okay? Y'all see how to multiply those? All right, so what is the Y value going to be? 4 sine 3 pi over 4. So that's really going to be 4 times +2 root 2, right? I'm waiting on somebody to tell me no. There we go. Y'all wasn't paying attention. Lordy day. All right, so what's it going to be? Root 2 over 2. Now your final answer is going to be what? 2 root 2. So here, these over 2 rectangular coordinates is going to be -2 root 2, comma, +2 root 2. All right, y'all get it? Got it, got it. Can you do these? You will have these on your test tomorrow.
this one. This is
Got it? Yes, no? All right, so let's continue then. All right, this is where you're going to need all of your formulas in front of you. So if you don't have them out yet, please get them. So with these, you are changing a polar equation. You're changing the polar equation to a rectangular equation. In other words, you're given an equation that just has r and theta, and you need to change it over to rectangular, which means x and y's, or just x or just y. But you need to eliminate r and theta. If you think you're finished, go back and look, and if you have r and theta, you're not finished at all. So what we have to do is try to make, like starting with a, r equals 3, we're going to have to somehow come up with a way to make this fit into one or two of these formulas that I have listed. Now, if you're just given r as 3, y'all think about this for just a minute. I'm not given an angle, so what they're saying is the angle does not matter. Any angle will work. And they're saying that the radius is 3. So that means I can go out a radius of 3 here. I can go out a radius 3 here, here, here. Well, I could even go here. And if I keep going and I connect all of those, what shape am I going to get? A circle. So that means if I've got a circle, that means an x squared and a y squared. So if we look at this, well, my radius is 3. Let's square both sides. Let's take r and square 3. So that gives us r squared equals 9, doesn't it? And what do you know r squared is equal to? Y'all look at your list of formulas. Absolutely. X squared plus y squared equals, and then 9. And that is the equation of a circle. X squared plus y squared equals r squared. That's your answer. So if you're just given a radius, just given an r value, square both sides. That gives you r squared equals whatever the number is squared. And then exchange r squared for x squared plus y squared. That pattern never changes. It's the same no matter what. All right, so now let's look at part B. Okay, y'all look at your formula list.
Why wouldn't you square root r and get rid of
Oh, are you talking about here, this part here?
Yeah.
That would just throw us back up to here. And our goal, we don't know anything about just r by itself based on our formulas. So when we square both sides, we know something about r squared. So we need to keep it r squared so I can replace it with x and y. Because the goal is to remove r and theta from the equation. Rewrite it so you don't have it. Okay, y'all look at B. Look at B. What can I do there? Y'all look at your formulas.
x equals 12.
Awesome. What do you know that r cosine of theta is? You know that's equal to x based on our formulas that we have. So I can replace that entire side with x, so I have x equals 12. Is that okay? Questions? That's the answer because I've eliminated r and theta. I know I can stop there because it's just in terms of x. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Let's look at C. I can't.
Our janitor just walked by.
All right, so let's look at C. Now, again, based on our formulas, we really don't have anything for cosecant, but what do I know cosecant's related to?
Negative over sine.
It's going to be the reciprocal of sine, isn't it? So this is going to be r equals negative 2 over sine theta. Negative 2 over sine theta. Okay, now how am I going to rearrange that? Multiply both sides by sine. So I have r sine theta equals -2. And what is r sine theta equal to?
X.
Nope.
Y.
Y. It's equal to y. So y equals -2. Okay, do I know anything about just plain r? No. Do I know anything about sine?
No. Well,
Look at the board. Look at your formulas. What do you know about sine?
sine equals y over r.
Y over r. So I have 10 times y over r. I can make that substitution. Okay, so let's look at what we have. R equals 10y over r, isn't it? What does it look like we might need to do next? Multiply both sides by r. And so that's going to give me r squared, isn't it? Hey, we know something about r squared. We have r squared equals 10y. What do I know about r squared? X squared plus y squared equals 10y. Now let's look at this. Have I removed r from the equation?
Yes.
Have I removed theta from the equation? Yes, you're finished. You don't have to do anything else to this. Y'all are welcome to stop here.
There's so many options, I feel like I'm messed up.
Okay, with these problems, you're going the other direction. So you've got x's and y's, and you just need r's and thetas. Okay, now do not make A really all that difficult. What do you know about x squared plus y squared? R squared. All right, all right, all right. R squared equals 144, right? So what is R equal to? 12. You're finished. You're finished. That's it. Is that okay? Good job. Okay, so now let's try part B. Let's try B.
Y equals r times
I think y'all are catching on. Absolute R. Y equals what? R.
r sine theta.
R sine theta, right? Equals -7.
Divide by sine.
Divide by sine. So what does R equal
R
to?
equals -7 over sine theta.
You are finished. You're finished.
Bless your soul.
Questions about it?
Just trying to make it way too difficult.
Yes. Any questions? All right, now for part C, I'm going to let y'all, after you've made your substitutions, because there's so many different routes you could go with the algebra, and we won't have time on the test to go all those different routes. Let's go ahead and make our general substitutions, and we're going to stop with that, okay? So what do you know here? What do you know y is equal to?
Y equals r sine.
So r sine theta, so I'm going to replace that. Now don't forget that that's all squared. Put the squared on the outside of the parentheses. A lot of people are putting the squared on the angle, and that's incorrect. Make sure you put it in parentheses. The best thing to do is parentheses with your exponent on the outside. You're always correct if you do that.
What's the thing on the
Okay.
worksheets where it was after the R?
It would have been this here is going to be the same thing as r squared sine squared theta. That's the other way to write it. But I'd rather y'all just do the parentheses right now. Okay, what about the other side? What am I going to put over there?
R cosine theta.
R cosine theta. And for right now, since we have a limited amount of time for the test, we're going to stop there. That'll be it. Okay. So let's try D. Let's try D. Okay, what can we do? Can we cancel the 2? Can we divide both sides by 2? As long as everything's multiplied, you sure can. So you have xy equals 2, right? Okay, and now just make your substitution. So it's going to be 2 times r cosine theta times, oh, not 2. We've gotten rid of that 2. I'm sorry. R sine theta. And what is all that equal to? 2. And I'm going to let y'all stop there.